Picture this, a single strike, one command center in Tehran, gone in under a minute. Within hours, 300 aircraft in the sky. By day 5, 30 warships sitting at the bottom of the Persian Gulf. 4 weeks later, gas prices spiking to the equivalent of $126 a barrel of crude. Dubai's airport running half empty, and somewhere in Tehran, a message goes out from whoever is left standing, and that message is simple. The war isn't over. That's the part nobody in Washington wants to game out loud, because on paper, America wins this war in the first week. In reality, it might be the war that breaks something America can't fix. So let's talk about how that happens. Every serious war planner in the Pentagon has run this exact simulation, and the plan always starts the same way. Take out the head, and the body stops moving. It's called decapitation strategy, and it's not new. It's the same logic that took down Saddam back in 2003. Remove the regime's brain, and the rest collapses under its own weight. No messy ground war required. On paper, against Iran specifically, this looks even more airtight, because Iran's air force is decades behind. Its navy is mostly small, fast boats, not blue water warships. In a straight-up military exchange, US and allied air power would dominate the sky within days, and every credible war game agrees on that part. Total air superiority, a crippled navy, command centers in ruins. On paper, that's not a war, that's a demolition. But here's the part that never makes it into the press briefing. Iran isn't a single building you could knock down. It's a system built specifically to survive exactly this scenario, because Iran has expected an American strike for over 40 years and has been designing around it that entire time. And the moment you understand that design, the quick win story starts falling apart fast. Start with leadership. Iran's power structure isn't one guy at the top calling every shot. It's layered, regional, deliberately redundant, built so that if the top of the chain disappears, regional commanders already have standing orders and can act independently within hours, not weeks. Military analysts have pointed this out for years. You cannot decapitate a structure that was engineered from day one to not need a head in a crisis. Good job, planners. Really elegant fix for a problem that was solved in the design phase. And that's before you even get to geography, because a strike inside Iran doesn't stay inside Iran. It becomes everyone's problem within days. Look at the map for a second. There's a stretch of water between Iran and Oman that's barely 21 miles wide at its narrowest point. It's called the Strait of Hormuz, and roughly a fifth of the entire world's oil supply moves through that gap every single day. Iran doesn't need a navy that can beat the US Fifth Fleet in open combat to shut it down. It needs fast attack boats, sea mines, and shore-based anti-ship missiles, and analysts have said for over a decade that Iran has exactly that capability sitting on its northern coastline, looking straight down at the shipping lanes. You don't need to win a naval war to close a strait. You just need to make every insurance company on the planet too scared to send a tanker through it. And that's exactly what history shows happens the moment tensions spike there. Tanker traffic doesn't wait around for actual missiles to fly. It disappears on the threat alone. But here's the part most people miss completely. That strait doesn't just carry oil out. It carries food, medicine, and industrial goods into the Gulf states. Dubai, Doha, Riyadh, these are some of the wealthiest cities on the planet, built in a desert that literally cannot feed itself. Glass towers, indoor ski slopes, artificial islands, all of it running on the assumption that the supply chain never breaks. The moment that strait gets contested, even for a few weeks, you're not just looking at a spike at the pump, you're looking at some of the most import-dependent economies in the world getting cut off from their own supply lines. Brilliant place to build the financial engine of the region, right next to the one choke point that can strangle it. And that engine matters more than people realize, because those Gulf states aren't neutral bystanders in any of this, even if they'd love to be. They sell oil in dollars. They funnel that money straight back into American markets, American bonds, American tech stocks. It's called the petrodollar system, and it's one of the quiet pillars holding up the value of the dollar globally. Most of them also host American military bases, so the moment a regional war breaks out, we're not involved stops being a real option for them. Neutral is a great line for a press release. It's not a great strategy when your airspace and your air bases are already part of somebody else's war plan, which brings us to the part of this story that actually keeps defense economists up at night. And it's not the fighter jets, it's the drones. Iran has spent the last decade building cheap, mass-producible attack drones, the kind that cost somewhere in the tens of thousands of dollars each, not millions. Analysts estimate Iran can crank out hundreds of these a month. They launch off the back of a pickup truck, fly low and slow, and just need to reach a target. Now here's the number that changes the entire economics of this war. The standard interceptor missile used to shoot one of these down run several $1 million a pop. And because these drones fly low and slow, it often takes more than one interceptor just to guarantee a hit. Do that math across a sustained drone campaign, and you get a war where one side is spending tens of thousands of dollars per attack, and the other side is spending millions of dollars per defense. That's not a fair fight. That's a financial trap disguised as a military one. Think of it like a heavyweight boxer built for one big knockout punch, standing across from some scrappy fighter who has zero intention of ever trading punches with him. That guy just keeps circling, jabbing, making the heavyweight swing at nothing, burning gas every single round. The heavyweight can win any exchange he actually lands. He just can't afford to keep swinging forever. That's the drone economy in one image, and it's the exact reason military analysts increasingly argue that modern air defense doctrine built for the Cold War just isn't built for this kind of fight. Now here's where it gets even messier, because a war like this never stays contained to two countries, not with the way modern financial markets are wired together. The moment oil spikes past $100 a barrel, that's not some abstract number on a chart. It's inflation showing back up at gas stations in Ohio and grocery stores in Texas, right when most folks thought that fight was already behind them. It's Japan and India who get a huge chunk of their oil through that same strait, scrambling for backup suppliers overnight. It's shipping insurance premiums spiking so hard that some carriers just stop writing policies altogether because nobody wants to underwrite a tanker sailing through a live conflict zone. And once insurance dries up, ships stop moving even if the strait is technically still open. The war doesn't have to touch American soil to hit every American's wallet within a month. And that's really the trap sitting underneath this entire scenario. Winning the military exchange and winning the war are not the same thing anymore. You can destroy every plane, sink every ship, dismantle the entire visible military structure of a country, and still end up in a worse spot 4 weeks later than you started. Because modern power isn't just measured in tanks and missiles anymore. It's measured in gas prices, insurance markets, drone economics, and how many allies quietly start hedging their bets the moment they realize the strongest military on earth just blew a fortune winning a fight it can't actually afford to keep fighting. There's always a moment in these scenarios where the stronger side tries to de-escalate without looking like it's backing down. Threats of more strikes, talk of negotiations, a pause here and there to let markets breathe. And every time, the underlying question doesn't actually go away. The strait, the drones, the economics, none of that resets just because both sides agree to some temporary quiet. Markets might rally for a news cycle, oil might dip for a week, but the structural problem, the thing that made this war so hard to finish in the first place, that's still sitting there waiting. So here's the question worth sitting with long after this video's over. For 80 years, American military dominance has run on one basic assumption, that if you're scared enough of the consequences, you back down before it ever comes to this. But what happens the moment one side stops being scared of losing and starts being willing to bleed forever just to make the other side bleed too? Because an empire that was built on the credible threat of war doesn't get to just walk away from one either. It has to keep proving that threat is real over and over for as long as it wants to stay an empire at all.